There's a lot going on in the world of Magic the Gathering right now. Hasbro has just released a brand new special edition convention secret lair that's only going to be available for 2 days. On top of that, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty has brought one of the weirdest spoilers for Magic the Gathering I've ever seen. And that's not even all the news we have to cover today.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another installment of Mega Magic News! We have a number of subjects to cover today. One is the special secret lair that is only going to be around for 2 days. That is the pulsecon Hasbro secret lair. We also have the bizarre stuffed animal Kamigawa spoiler, which I was never expecting to see, and I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around. And then we're also going to touch on the Crimson Vow spoiler season and talk about a little post made by Mark Rosewater talking about full art basic lands in Magic. So, with no further ado, let us start out with the pulsecon story. So, this specifically has to do with the secret lair, only available for the next 2 days, just went on sale today. So, if you haven't already seen the cards, I'm going to put them up on the screen for you right now. You've got a borderless Chain Lightning, borderless Generous Gift, borderless Kadama's Reach, and borderless Heirloom Blade. Now, these are done, obviously, with a cartoonish cat kind of style. Now, you can only buy this through the Pulse website for the next 2 days, essentially. It's done under a pre-ordering system. And the blurb, in case you haven't already seen it, I did a video on it, which you can go and check out. But the blurb for it says, "Do you suffer from cat allergies? Have you always wanted to have your own domesticated puma, but life said no? Perhaps you own a priceless vase that you couldn't possibly risk getting knocked on the floor because a cursed spirit is trapped inside. But part of the curse is that you can't store it somewhere safe. So you're forced to leave it out in the open where it could easily get knocked over by an animal? Well, Secret Lair is great news for you. We've got hypoallergenic, perfectly well-behaved, non-destructive kitties with your name on them. We turned to cat renderer extraordinaire Ayaki Ishiguro to carefully render 4 frolicking felines in a style inspired by traditional Japanese prints. Look at them! Behold their fluffy tails. Quiver in awe at the sight of their little feet. Gaze into their eyes and learn the fuzzy, adorable truth of the universe." I thought that was actually a fun little blurb, and it gives you a little longer to enjoy looking at the cards. I do like the styles that are included here, so if that's something you're interested in, you can check out the Hasbro Pulse. If you want more information on it, including talking about the kind of the financial value of it as well, then you can check out the video that I did on it, and I will leave that video linked on screen at the end of this video. But let us move on to what for me is the absolute craziest aspect of today's news episode. And that is the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty spoiler that I'm about to show you. But I need to prepare you to make sure we're on the same page, okay? This is not going to be a magic card. This is a stuffed animal plushy like dice pouch that I'm going to show you based on a character from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So this is a spoiler in that it's going to let you know a weird creature that exists in the world. Now that I've given you that preparatory statement, let's get it up on the screen and take a moment like I did for your brain to go, what is it? What is this that I'm looking at? This is known as mochi-kami, okay? That's what it's being billed as on the actual website that they're taking like orders for this product on, which is interesting because if you remember, the kami of the crescent moon, if I'm not mistaken, was also named Mochi. I would have to go back and kind of dig in and do some research, but there is the possibility that somehow this is maybe a descendant spirit of the kami of the crescent moon. But either way, when you look at it, your brain just goes, what is this? In the middle of it, you've got this crazy design that at first glance makes me think of a recycling symbol, right? Look at it, you're like, what is that? You've got like a green circle with these spheres in the middle of it, and then little sticks that are coming out of these spheres attaching to little fireballs that look like they're rotating around. Is it supposed to give a recycling vibe? I mean, is this supposed to be some sort of like part of a spirit power plant or something? The way that you've got I don't know if those are supposed to be feet coming out at the bottom of him, or if this is supposed to be like he's essentially on a bed of logs and is almost like a green flame. He's got these like weird, almost cold, dead eyes. Like at first you might be like, oh, he's cute, but the more you stare at him, the more horrific it becomes. But ultimately, what does this tell you about Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty? When I look at it, my brain goes, I thought Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty was going to be the future where we have like, check it out, we got neon signs. You want to buy some pizza or get your cell phone screen replaced? Welcome to, oh no, I guess to get your cyber eye screens replaced, we got to think far enough in the future, right? So I don't know what this is. Like, how do the spirits fit into Kamigawa? What even is Mochi? He just, I don't know. He almost feels like something you would see where it's like, destroy me. I don't want to live. There's just something weird and off-putting about him. But when I saw it, I was just like, okay, this is worth talking about because it's so bizarre. I can't stop staring at him. Like, I don't know if you're staring at him the same way on the screen that I am right now, but he's just sitting there looking at me with those tiny little eyes. Actually, I don't know. Mochi's got like, it looks almost like he's got eye makeup. So maybe Mochi is a mochi. I'm not sure. I have no idea what to think about this. But when you look at that, does that say Magic the Gathering to you? does that feel like a Magic the Gathering creature? Like, I am genuinely interested. If you have any inkling at all of how this could tie into a world based on, like, my assumption is Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was concepted to take advantage of Cyberpunk 2077, the video game being released, but basically that game kind of fell on its face. So Wizards of the Coast now doesn't have the advantage of that kind of bolstering it, so they've got to try and give it its own identity without leaning on something else. And I figured, like, okay, we're going to be in the future with like cyber samurais, cybernetic augmentation, all kinds of futuristic stuff, which admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of. I like more traditional swords and sorcery magic, but this right here throws everything for me it throws me for a loop because I genuinely don't know what to think about this. Anyhow, that's enough just staring in confused awe at Mochi. Mochi-kami is his name, all right? So that's enough staring at him. Let's move on to the next item on the list. Really quickly going to touch on Crimson Vow spoiler season, and that's just to let you guys know that it starts on the 28th of this month. So you got about a week, and I'm only bringing that up because it seems like people keep asking me in the comments and the live streams, yo, when do we start getting Crimson Vow spoilers? So it officially starts next week, 28th, but I mean, we can expect that there may be some kind of leaks ahead of that. So the last item on the list is a Blogatog post about full art lands. So somebody asks Mark Rosewater, 5 years ago, we had 11 different printings of full art basic lands. That's all of Magic's history up until that point. So basically, for the last 22 years, before the current 5 years, for the first 22 years of Magic the Gathering, we got 11 different full art lands, and multiple of those were in unsets, right? And that's all of Magic's history up until that point. Just 11 types in the first 22 years. But now we have 29. So in the last 5 years, 18 more variations of full art lands have come along. That's actually pretty crazy when you think about it, right? We've got a full-on extra 18 spread across 5. That means 3 times a year we have been getting full art lands. And honestly, ever since they went back to Zendikar the second time, they've been driving the full art land thing into the ground in terms of just crank. But I do also have to say on the other side that the Theros full art lands look amazing. The Innistrad full art lands look amazing, and it does help to keep them from being like super expensive as well. So I can't say that I'm like fully against it all, but either way, it's interesting. It's interesting to touch on. So it says, just the past 5 years alone have more than doubled the number. Given this, do you think that full art lands are becoming too commonplace? They feel less special now, that's true. Like their awesomeness has been diminished. No need to try and get them now. I can just wait a couple of months for the next set of full art basics. Just my 2 cents. And Rosewater just responds with, do people feel we're making too many full art lands? So this is one of those situations where he takes the questions that people ask him and decides which one to make into Blogatog questions. So the fact that he's bringing this up it's kind of like market research. So the question becomes, are they making too many full art lands? And on one hand, if you want full art lands to feel really special and drive sales hardcore, then from a company perspective, yes, they are making too many full art lands. From a consumer perspective, as somebody who loves full art lands, the more full art lands they make, the cheaper they become. And then everybody has the choice of using regular lands or full art lands. So from my position, it's great for an accessibility. So if you're somebody who cares about the value of your cards and you're somebody who cares about having like cards that are rarer and harder to get and other people not having them, then I can see you being in the camp of less full art lands. And if you're somebody who's just, hey, let everybody play Magic, access to all the cards, then this is probably the best. Plus, I mean, not all lands are the same. If you like the Innistrad lands, you may not like the Theros lands. I like both, for example, but there are people who don't like the Innistrad lands, there are people who don't like the Theros lands, so it totally is a matter of taste. So I just thought I'd bring it up because it was interesting to me that the sheer amount of full art lands has increased to such a vast degree. I genuinely hadn't realized it until it was spelled out, and then I thought about it, and it's like, yep, that's definitely the case. Anyhow, that wraps up the news, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Big shout out to my patrons. Thank you very much for supporting me during these crazy times. And my friends, I will see you all in the next video, or tonight's live stream.